Oh, all right. Here we are. Hello. Grand Rising. Great day. Welcome. You are tuned in to the Peak Wellness Hour every Saturday, 10ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here. Queen Edith and I are here every Saturday, and we're so excited, as always, to continue the conversation. I don't even know how we want to phrase this one or title it. We titled this last one, Choosing Peace Over Stress. And we continued from the month of August talking about stress and hormones. And we're going to end the month of August out, finishing Maya Angelou's amazing conversation on how to never get angry or bothered by anyone again. And I know last week it was such a blessing to listen in on her insight. And I know Queen Edith gave some great insight. We shared our thoughts with you in our commentary, and we're going to do the same. So if you did not see last week's conversation, go back and watch that. We're going to start from that midpoint where we stopped, and we're going to dive right in. And it's going to be just as juicy, just as impactful. So we want to make sure that you all come on in, hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed, hit the like button. Go ahead and share, because we're going to throw our intro in. You have time to grab a pen and paper and share, and we'll be right back.
Didn't tell me she was running out until today.
All right. We are tuned in. Is that you, Queen? We are tuned. It's all right. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Peak Wellness Hour again. Welcome to my queen, Gloria Carter. I'm so happy to have her in the digital building. Special shout out to you. I spent some time with my queen aunt yesterday on the phone having a conversation, and she was just a blessing. To me, she just lifted my spirits and poured into. And if you all have not heard the conversation with her as a guest on here, you got to go back and watch that. Just very influential in her wisdom. So thank you so much for being here and being who you are. I certainly love you. Queen.
Hello, Queen Aunt Gloria.
Yes, yes. Queen, you want to bring us in so we can dive into this amazing conversation?
You know what? One of the things many of us are losing is the wisdom of those who have gone before us. Listening to Maya Angelou last week, not that I haven't listened to her, I listened to her, but doing it this way, talking about it. Mm-hmm. There's so much this woman is not speaking out of a book. She's speaking out of life.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we neglect the opportunity to learn from our parents because maybe we have more education than them, but they've lived life longer. They have more wisdom. So listen, take a minute, share this video. I know you can go on YouTube and listen, but we can talk about it. We can share our understanding of what she's saying. And together we can learn and grow. You know, when we were children, we have those evenings where in Ghana we call them Anansi stories, where all the children will gather like by the fireside kind of thing, or by the fireplace where grandma is sitting, grandchildren as and they're sharing stories of growing up, their childhood, things they learned. And there's so much value in it. Let us be by our fireside, listening to the legend Maya Angelou. We welcome you, invite your friends, and let's have a great learning experience. Welcome once again. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And before we begin, thank you, Queen. Before we begin, we want to make sure that it is known that we are utilizing this information that we're sharing with you for educational purposes under the Copyright Disclaimer Act of 1976, so that there is no issues with YouTube, Facebook, and all the likes. So that is there for you all to see. We will do commentary in between to make sure that we are compliant with the social media platforms. However, all the links are in the description. If you're on YouTube, under the description, it'll say more, or under the title, it'll say more. If you click that more, all of our links will be there for you. Whether you're trying to reach Queen Edith on her Facebook page, if you're looking for Peak Home Care Associates needing home care in Indianapolis, if you're looking for Clearest Conscious, all that stuff is on there. And the Maya Angelou link for today is on there also. So you have that opportunity to listen to that on your own, go over it again. And she has so much other great content that you just can't help but be blessed by anything you listen to. And like Queen Edith said, it's about experience. You know, we are experiencing things in different seasons. Nothing new is goes on under the sun. You know,
Nothing new. Nothing new.
yeah, it just may be a new experience for you. So having these conversations and connecting with people, sharing your story, like my Queen I said, sharing that testimony with people, not knowing what somebody is going through, you might be a blessing. So our lives and our experiences are not for naught. Okay, we all have purpose, and you got to be bold and walk in that. So without further ado, I'm going to share the screen and we're going to dive into this. And now I try to pick it up where I feel like a good place was to start, so that it's not just kind of cutting in or whatever, but let's see what it does. And hopefully it will flow. It'll flow just right. So let's listen to what Maya Angelou has to say, and we'll give some commentary. And I'm very excited about it. And you all, please feel free to also share your thoughts and your
My notebook is here.
Your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section as well. We want to engage with you. So let's do this. Here we go. So it says right here, you will wish you'd breathed instead of broken. If you all see that on the screen, let's see how she dives into that. Here we go.
But every breath is a new beginning. Every pause is a practice. Every moment is another chance to choose differently. So when you feel it rise, the anger, the sadness, the hurt, don't run from it. Meet it, greet it, let it come to the surface, but don't let it spill. Breathe into it. Hold yourself the way no one else ever taught you to be held. Strong, soft, aware. Because when you can breathe through the moment that once broke you, you become unshakable. Not because you don't feel, but because you finally know how to feel without falling apart. There is a quiet kind of wisdom that lives in restraint. It is not flashy. It doesn't need to raise its voice. It doesn't stomp or scream or storm out of the room. It simply knows. It knows that not everything deserves your energy. Not every look, not every comment, not every opinion flung your way needs to be caught, dissected, or responded to, especially when the cost is your peace. Peace is not something the world will hand you wrapped in ribbons. You earn it by choice. You keep it by discipline. And the most disciplined thing you will ever do is not react when you are expected to. The world will throw bait at you daily. Words meant to provoke, questions meant to challenge,
Can you pause it?
crafted to unhinge you. And if you're
Just this 3 minutes is so loaded. I am still stuck at every breath is a fresh start, and every pause is practice. When people expect you to react and you don't, you just breathe, you just pause, you take the time before you respond. This is so loaded. Okay, this week one of the things I've been talking about at work is the difference between urges and cravings and how they are all not commands, but it's your body communicating something to you. Every breath, she says, is a fresh start. Do you know what that means? Every moment we gather and we take that breath, we give ourselves an opportunity to start. We give ourselves an opportunity to maybe stop or pause and think before we take the next step. How many of us are reacting, living every day in response, or more, better still, in reaction to something that happened last night, to something that somebody said yesterday, and we continue to regurgitate it and live it over and over again? So we stretch the unnecessary, the regrets of yesterday, how you can't let go and forgive yourself because you're so perfect that the slightest mistake turns you off or stops you in your tracks. We can't say, I made a mistake, deal with it, and move on. But we'll let a week go, a day go, a month go, and something that somebody said, that old something, that old relationship, something they did or said, that has stopped you or halted you in living your purpose. When do we learn to shake it up and remember that every breath indeed is the fresh start?
Yes. And you know what, before we go on, I wanted to say when she was talking about breathing into that process, I thought about child labor and giving birth. Because when you're taught to breathe, you're really breathing into that pain to produce life through the labor. Now, men, I know we like to say, men are birth, in a spiritual sense, we're birthing things. Men don't give birth, men give life. You breathe into the process, you breathe into the labor, and you press through. You got to breathe into it.
So when they tell you, breathe, you're giving life, you're giving freshness, you're giving energy, you're giving strength, you're gathering strength, you're giving life, and you're giving life to something, you're giving birth to something from you. Or that is so insightful, Queen. And
think about this, we've talked about breathing. When you're breathing slow, it's not always, sometimes it's taking that deep breath and bearing down, and it's a different type of breath in and breath out when you're doing that. Remember, we talked about different types of breathing. So sometimes you have to, and just bear. But don't forget to breathe.
And when you breathe, don't forget, it's life-giving. It's energizing. It's empowering. It's starting. Taking that pause before you say the next thing, before you act the next, you act. And Queen Gloria says, ownership. I would like to understand that. I'd like to understand what she means by ownership.
Drop a comment in the comment section, Queen Act, if you will. In the meantime, we're going to listen to some more. You all know we went over last week because we were talking, so we were engaged so much in this conversation. So, Queen Anne, if you can elaborate on that, we'd love to hear that. And let's keep going for a second.
Not careful, you will spend your whole life flinching at shadows, proving yourself to people who already decided not to understand you, and trading your stillness for temporary victories that leave you feeling hollow. There's a difference between hearing something and having to respond to it. You may hear gossip, lies, criticisms, or projections, but just because it enters your ears doesn't mean it needs to exit your mouth. Not everything is worthy of your voice. Not every comment requires a defense. And not every person has earned a seat close enough to shake you. You don't have to be available to every energy that wants access to you. Some people speak from pain, not from truth. Some people confront not to understand, but to control. And if you react every time you're provoked, you hand them the keys to your peace willingly. You say, here, take it. Take my calm, take my joy, take my self-respect, just because you had the audacity to challenge me. But why? Why give them so much for so little? What if your silence was not weakness, but strength? What if your decision not to respond was actually the boldest move in the room? What if holding your peace didn't mean you lost? It meant you won a battle no one else saw. They may call you cold. They may say you're disconnected. But those who confuse peace with passivity don't know the war it takes to maintain it. They don't see the 1,000 battles you've already fought just to get to a place where you can choose peace over pettiness, where you can walk away without the need to explain, where you can hear your name twisted and still sleep soundly at night. That is not numbness. That is mastery. Reaction is easy. Reaction is automatic, but response, or the decision not to respond, that's intentional. That's maturity. That's self-possession. That's knowing who you are so deeply, no one else's version of you can shake it. Not everyone who disagrees with you deserves your clarification. Not everyone who mocks you deserves your retaliation. Not everyone who misunderstands you deserves your correction. Sometimes the most radical act of self-care is choosing not to let that message ruin your day. Choosing not to let that driver on the road steal your mood. Choosing not to carry someone else's misery as your own just because they tried to dump it on your doorstep. Let them feel what they feel. Let them say what they say. You don't have to pick up what they dropped. You don't have to react to everything that is beneath your spirit. Guard your peace like the treasure it is. People will come and go with storms inside them. Don't let them set up camp in your soul. Don't let them rearrange the furniture of your mind. Let them pass. Like weather, like waves, like noise you no longer need to tune into. You are not obligated to be dragged into a drama just because it's directed at you. You don't have to raise your voice to prove you're not small. You don't have to respond to disrespect with the same energy. You are allowed to choose grace, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to go to bed without rehearsing comebacks. You deserve mornings unburdened by yesterday's arguments. You deserve to live untouched by the chaos others try to hand you. Not everything deserves a reaction, especially not your peace, because peace is not a passive state. It is a fiercely protected place. And when you learn that, truly learn that, you become untouchable, not because the world stops trying, but because you no longer let it in. The sting of insult is sharp. It lands fast, often when you're unguarded. A word, a tone, a look, meant to belittle, to provoke, to cut. And the human instinct is to fight back, to defend the wound, to restore dignity with equal force. But the truth is, most insults do not need to be met with retaliation. They need to be met with compassion, not for their sake, for yours.
Not for their sake, for yours. Yes, peace is a choice. Peace is a choice. How many times, I love when she said, going to bed and rehearsing what's going to happen next. I think we talked about that last week.
Even a few minutes ago, we did.
I know you dived into it really deep last week. It's like a lot of times we think that someone has stolen our joy. We're just giving it away. we're just giving away our peace. They're not taking it. Nobody's stealing it. When we leave ourselves vulnerable to chaos and drama and trauma, this is what happens. And a lot of times, and my queen and I were talking about this, a lot of times, being vulnerable, there is nothing wrong with being vulnerable in the right setting with the right people. But you have to understand that you have to be able to become thick-skinned, because it's always going to be someone there that when the first there is someone you can do it, I'm rooting for you. But the minute you do it, it's an issue. Oh, anybody could have done that. It's not as difficult as you think. It's always backlash. It's very difficult for people to want to be in your good graces when you're doing great. I've never accepted, I understand, but I've never accepted the concept of misery loving company. Anytime I am unsettled and I'm lacking peace in a situation, I don't need like-minded people in that space. I need people that are going to elevate, that are going to empower, that are going to correct with love and not judgment. And a lot of times we don't get that. So just think about that. Did you have anything, Queen?
I would have stopped this every second, but the reality is that she said something powerful. She said, what if the most powerful thing to do is just be quiet? It's silence. It's not say anything. Do you know how much strength that takes?
Mm-hmm.
If you can go to hear gossip about you and still go to sleep in peace. Wow, what power. That doesn't mean that it may not impact you, but there is a place to process it. You understand? Find that place where you will process how it's impacted you, but you have the strength to say, you know what? It's not even her or him anymore. It's why I'm allowing it to impact me so much that if I don't take care, it might cripple me. I've come to learn that if nobody's talking about you, you are not being hit hard by the adversary, you are not facing resistance, you are probably not doing something right.
Yes.
You're probably conforming so much that you are, I'm sorry to use this word for lack of it, any better word, irrelevant. But when you are demons, I don't want to use that. When your lifestyle begins to challenge, then they begin to talk. And you have to know who you are, what you bring to the table, that you don't blend in. You don't fit in perfectly, but you stand out. And that is being what you have been called to be. So you can still hear them, but give grace because they are different. They don't get it, but they see you. They see what you bring to the table. And that's where the question, who does she think she is? Even when you are silent. This woman knows what she's talking about. I got to listen to this over and over and over again because it is so much power. This is life.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is in the description for everyone to listen to. These are conversations that you need to get in your spirit, in your soul, in your mind, and keep those going, because there's so much negativity around you. All it takes is one person to tell you you're not good enough. All it takes is one person to shake you. Everybody else around you, oh, you're great, you're awesome. One person, now you can't sleep. Now you can't concentrate. Now you're all over the place because you let somebody else define you. And that's what happens when you're not solid and you're not, what did you use that word, centered? You're not centered within yourself. It's easy.
You don't know who you are.
So just keep that in mind. Let's keep going. We might get through with this soon. Let's see.
Because what a person says to you often says more about what's hurting inside of them than what's broken inside of you. Insults are usually born from lack, a lack of peace, a lack of self-worth, a lack of clarity. A soul full of self-respect doesn't insult. A person secure in themselves doesn't aim to dim others. When someone lashes out at you, they're not showing you their power. They're showing you their pain. And if you can see it that way, really see it, you won't take the insult personally. You'll see it as a confession, a flare from a heart struggling to stay afloat. Compassion doesn't mean you excuse the disrespect. It means you rise above the need to match it. You understand that pain often dresses itself up in pride and criticism. And instead of dancing with the hurt, you choose to stand still in grace. When someone calls you a name, questions your worth, ridicules your choices, pause. Look at them not with judgment, but with curiosity. What must they be carrying? What kind of day or life must they be living to throw that kind of darkness at another? Compassion is not softness. It is not naivety. It is strength. It takes far more courage to hold your center when attacked than to snap back. It takes discipline to respond with empathy instead of ego. People insult for many reasons: to distract from their own flaws, to feel powerful, to gain attention, to protect their fragile identity. But rarely, if ever, is it truly about you. And when you see through that lens, you take back control. You become the one who chooses the tone, not just receives it. Let them be angry. Let them try to stir the pot. You don't need to drink the bitterness they're offering. Let their words fall to the ground like dry leaves. Let them pile up without ever touching your spirit. That's what compassion gives you: immunity, not to pain, but to reaction. It gives you the ability to look a person in the eye and say, without speaking, I see your suffering and I won't add to it. You can set a boundary without building a wall. You can walk away without storming off. You can be firm without being cruel. That is what compassion looks like in action. When you practice compassion in the face of insult, you take the oxygen out of the fire. You refuse to fuel their chaos. You deny their drama a stage, and slowly something shifts in you. You start to detach from the need to be understood, the hunger to be right, the impulse to prove your value. You start to realize your value has never lived in someone else's mouth. Compassion teaches you that dignity doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it says nothing at all. Sometimes it simply smiles and steps aside. And yes, you will be misunderstood. You know, people will say you're weak. They'll say you let them get away with it. But let them say what they will. You're not here to manage their opinion. You're here to manage your own integrity. There is a deep, unshakable peace that comes when you no longer let other people's unkindness dictate your character. When you can see them not as enemies, but as human, flawed, wounded, reacting out of their own trauma, trying to find control in a world that often feels like chaos. That doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. That doesn't mean you ignore toxic patterns. But it does mean you meet them with clarity, not combat. It means you say, I will not fight you because I see you're already at war inside. That level of compassion doesn't make you smaller. It makes you bigger than the insult, bigger than the moment, bigger than the game they're trying to play. And maybe, just maybe, your compassion will be the mirror they've never had. Maybe it won't change them, but it will change you. And
What you got, Queen?
So, I think 2 years ago, I was on my way to New York, right? And my flight was from here, I've forgotten to where, but there was a transit. Well, there were delays. There was no bad weather, nothing. There were just delays, airline delays. First of all, I had to stand in line for over an hour in the middle of the night before I could talk to customer service. And you get there, you talk to the customer service, and I don't know. The only next flight is tomorrow at noon. On and on and on and on. And she was nonchalant, like I couldn't be bothered. So my cousin, who I was visiting, was on the phone with me all this time whilst I was talking to this. She was in my Bluetooth in my ear, and I was talking to this woman. And she was angry. She was so angry, and she kept saying, I can't believe she's talking to you. How can you stand there, listen so quietly, and say nothing? So I kept smiling, and I talked to this woman. Eventually, she found me an earlier flight, on and on and on. Okay, I've come to learn that sometimes you're dealing with a person who is doing what she's been told or he has been told to do by their higher up. Okay, like I remember when I used to take care of Bill, where you used to work, and sometimes some of the girls will have issues with me, even though I try to tell them the truth and tell them as it is. They got angry because they felt challenged. No, I didn't fight, I didn't scream, I just told them as it is, and they got challenged. And that the thing about this airport situation, when I got to New York, and my cousin said, how do you do that? I said, she is working for somebody. She's following instructions. If I get angry and I start screaming, everybody's seeing me scream. How do I look in the face of the public? What am I portraying? Number one. Number two, who is getting ready to have a heart attack? Really, who is? So sometimes we don't think about all these. You are angry and unable to forgive that person for so long. You can't forgive, and every time something similar happens, it triggers you. It reminds you of something. They still have a hold, they have a control over your future, because you can't move on. You see everybody in the mirror of what somebody did or something that was said that hurt you. And you looking, unfortunately, when you look stand in front of the mirror, you don't see that person. You see who you have become. So this woman is talking so, I says, maybe it might not change that, but it will change you. The Anatomy of Peace. That book is the most powerful book, one of the most powerful books you will read and learn to know about yourself besides the Bible. It tells you where why you are responding the way you respond, or you reacting the way you react, because it's not from the outside, it's something from within you. So when you haven't given yourself grace, you can't give anybody grace. When you are not healed, you see the need to prove, because you are not confident in who you are, so you need to prove it until people say it to you before you believe it. Why the need to prove to people who don't care? You will never see or hear anyway. She said their confrontation is not because they want to hear your point. It's because they want to control you, and you let them. You open the door, you allow it, you show how weak you are, so they have the opportunity to continue to knock you where it hurts the most.
And you got to remember, when you get onto somebody's playing field where you have no business being, when you wind up in somebody's mental war zone, spiritual battlefield, and you have no business being there, and you're not equipped for that, you will become a casualty. You'll become a casualty. Didn't
Queen,
mean to hit
damn,
you.
Queen, you are so insightful.
Yeah. And if you're in the military, you practice, you're geared up. They show you how to wear the gear. They show you how to move. You come just strolling along, trying to save somebody on a battlefield in a war zone you ain't got no business even being in. So keep that in mind.
Can I go there? Can I go
Go
there?
there.
Can I
Go
go
there.
there? Queen,
Go
Queen
there.
Gloria, Queen Gloria. I have my ally here. The Bible says this: putting on the whole armor, the full armor, your helmet, that thing that protects your soul, that thing that protects you. Your soul is made up of your mind, your will, your emotions, and it's one of the is the one place that most of us operates from. So when you allow someone to hit and get into your soul, you can't think straight. So wearing the helmet and guarding that area of your life, the breastplate. This is not a church. This is not, I don't want to preach. But my point is this: you have to have an armor on. Queen, that's just what you're saying. If you're
Mm-hmm.
going to come into my field, I feel that I know where I have placed everything. I
Mm-hmm.
know where, when you step, a bomb is going to explode. But you
Mm-hmm.
are coming there. Then you must be discerning and have the eyes to see. You must be guarded. You must have the proper equipment to detect where everything is. You can't just go into people's field because they said one thing and you go fight. They bait you into their lowliness, into
Mm-hmm.
their loneliness, into their nothingness, into their self-worthlessness. They bait you in. Why take the bait? This is what
Mm-hmm.
she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does nothing for you at all, if you do nothing, then learn and use that as a learning experience to develop resilience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said something earlier. You just kind of touched on our meeting and how we first met working in a facility, and you with your entrepreneur business. I mean, you were there, and I did not know you from Eve. Well, so I say Adam from Eve, but your presence was impeccable, and so when I got word, it wasn't even word. I'm watching people. Well, who does she think she is? She's in there. Here's what they said basically: she's in there doing her job, and when we're not doing our job, she's got something to politely say about it. Who does she think she is? See, now Queen Edith's not hearing this. I'm hearing it. So here I am. Well, let me go ahead and armor up. I'm getting on this battlefield, and here I am fighting a battle that really didn't need to be fought, because her presence alone and how it resonated with me should have shown me she didn't need me to fight her battle. Oh, but I was all geared up. Why can't you do your job? Why would you be talking crazy about her? You don't even know her, and all this extra. When all I had to do was keep the peace, because her very presence and her doing what she was supposed to be doing was enough. It spoke for itself. She wasn't in no war zone. She wasn't in, a crossfire. They were talking trash, but she wasn't in the crossfire. I put myself there. Didn't have to. See, we like to fight battles, especially when we know we're tough. We're spiritually tough. We're mentally tough. We're physically tough. We like to show out. But again, that silence will have you looking like I'm saying something crazy about her. Yeah, she's doing her job. I don't care. Saying something bad about her. And you look up, and all of a sudden you look, and you just look crazy, just talking crazy about people you have no business putting your mouth on. And then you have to look in the mirror and you have to see that. I don't want to be on that battlefield when you're looking in the mirror at the chaos and the catastrophe that you cause in your environment. No, sir, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
So shout out to Queen Edith. I'm gonna leave it there.
Shout out to Queen G. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
It's. I mean, there was a time in my life where, oh, I will put in my head, I'm putting you in your place. I'll fight you. I know some people who know me now can't imagine me then. But, oh, yeah. But you see, life, life is good. And I pray that we all live long enough, you learn some lessons. And when you come into yourself, then you don't need to prove to anybody. That's why I love this woman, because she's speaking from, and not all of us have the ability to put words to life as she's lived, as we've lived it. So for her to speak it the way I see it is powerful, because I probably will never be able to put it the way she's putting it. And it's powerful.
It is. And you notice how, like, throughout this whole thing, even if you watch from last week, there are things that she says and she repeats some of the things in context, but it's because it's the truth. You have to be repetitive in your journey to success. That's what consistency is. You've got to be repetitive in growing, in elevating, and in being empowered. It's a repetitive process. It's not today I did good. Today I didn't curse you out. Today I didn't lay hands on you. But tomorrow
You try
I might.
me again.
But tomorrow,
again.
So it's about that changing that mindset and her going back over those things. It's a reflection of her actually having to walk in that. And this is what I tell myself to keep my peace. This is what I say or don't say to keep my sanity, and just rehearsing that. And it becomes a part of your life. And now it becomes your life. It becomes who you are. And it's one thing to say it, but to have to walk it out and be consistent with it is its own battle. And it's hard to battle with yourself. Who's going to lose? Which one of you, So, yes, let's keep going. We're almost there, you all. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Let's go.
That is enough. So the next time someone hurls a word meant to wound, pause, breathe, remember what them, how you respond is about you. And you are someone who chooses compassion, not because it's easy, but because it's healing. There comes a time in life when you get tired, not from doing too much, but from carrying what was never yours to hold. You get tired of explaining yourself to people determined not to understand, of bending for those who only want to break you, of dancing through the flames of chaos just to prove you're still standing. And in that quiet fatigue, something sacred begins to rise. The desire to detach, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, out of strength, out of peace. Peaceful detachment is not giving up. It is letting go. It is the moment you stop gripping the rope that's been cutting your hand. It's the stillness that comes when you no longer need to control the narrative, win the argument, or change the person. Detachment is not cold or careless. In fact, it's one of the warmest forms of self-love. It says, I no longer need to lose myself in order to keep you. When you detach, you are not abandoning people. You are abandoning the need to be tangled in their storms. You are choosing to step out of the battlefield, not because you've lost, but because the war was never yours to begin with. You are reclaiming your mind, your time, your emotional oxygen, because not every fire deserves your fuel. Not every situation requires your presence. We are conditioned to believe that caring means clinging, that love means holding on no matter the cost. But the truth is, real strength is knowing when to release, when to unhook your heart from places that drain it, when to bless people on their way and not follow them into their chaos. That is detachment, not apathy, but discernment, not distance, but dignity. When you reach the level of peaceful detachment, you begin to move differently. You no longer chase closure, you create it. You stop rehearsing the perfect comeback in your mind. You stop checking if they've changed. You stop letting their energy rewrite your own. Instead, you stand in your stillness. You walk in your own rhythm. You protect your spirit like it's sacred, because it is. Peaceful detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel deeply, but you choose not to let those feelings hijack your actions. You allow yourself to witness the mess without absorbing it. You can sit across from drama and not sip from its cup. You can hear the insult and let it pass like wind through an open window. You can know your worth so intimately no outside voice can auction it off. And yes, detachment will confuse people. Those used to controlling you through guilt, manipulation, or chaos won't recognize this version of you. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. You have changed. You've stopped leaking your peace into every open wound around you. You've stopped bleeding for those who never offered a bandage. You've chosen serenity over survival. Peaceful detachment gives you back your power, and not the kind that dominates, but the kind that liberates. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop needing to be chosen. You stop needing every loose end tied in a bow, because you realize not everything unresolved is yours to fix. Not every broken bond is yours to repair. Sometimes peace means saying nothing, not because you don't care, but because you finally do about yourself. It means walking away with a smile instead of staying with resentment. It means letting the phone ring, the email sit, the tension dissolve into nothing, simply because your joy is no longer negotiable. Not because you're hard, but because you've grown soft with yourself, gentle, loving, wise. You've learned that being available to every storm leaves you soaked and shivering. You've learned that people will pull you into their fire and ask why you're burning. You've learned that protecting your peace is the highest form of maturity. There will always be noise. There will always be people trying to bring you back into the chaos. But when you've tasted real peace, when you felt what it's like to be free from the tug of war of proving, fixing, pleasing, you won't trade it for anything. You'll smile more, speak less, sit quietly in rooms that once made you anxious, watch old battles unfold around you, and feel nothing but gratitude that you're no longer in them. That's what detachment gives you, not escape, but arrival, not disconnection, but inner alignment. To detach is to say, I see it, I honor it, but I no longer make it mine. And in that release, you rise, calm, rooted, unmoved. That is the highest form of power, not dominance, not defense, but peace. Let them rage, let them point, let them misunderstand, let them twist your name, mock your calm, and frown at your silence. That is their burden, that is their business. You have outgrown the need to be bothered. There is a stillness in you deeper than anger, a river of calm, old and wise, that doesn't rise for every stone. Learn to live there, speak from there, love from there, because in that stillness, no one owns you. In that stillness, you are free.
What if you can create?
Whew.
You know,
We
the
got through
title
it.
I'll give this I will give a life of dignity. This is a life of dignity.
Mhm.
This is a life where you've arrived in who you are. You arrived where you need to be, and your life is about to start. That's what I'm hearing, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love it. I love it. And everyone, I hope everyone here is a strong, secure business owner. I hope you're in the business of minding your own. Mind your business first. Stop trying to run other people's business when you don't know the blueprint of their business. Mind your business to mind your peace. Like she said, stop trying to fix everybody's thing. If I see it, I'm going to try to fix it. I tell you all the time, I'm learning. Do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to say something? Some people don't want to be fixed. And if they do, they don't know how. Sometimes they're just not ready. But I've had to I have to get to the point where I learn how to mind my business, to mind my peace. See the phone ring and this business over here is something I don't want to deal with. It's not my business. I know because I see my spiritual, my mental checking and savings accounts. It ain't my business because it ain't growing no wealth. It's not growing mental wealth. It's not growing spiritual wealth. It's like, it's not growing anything. It's a bad business. Stop getting into bad business with people that have no good intentions for your life. That makes any sense. Quinn, you look like you're thinking about something.
There's a lot on my mind, but you see, you conclude so powerfully. Mind your business. The problem is, some people, we don't know our business. Mm-hmm. We go with the flow. We have no purpose. So we're waking up looking for something to keep us going. And that is the reality, and that is the truth. When you come to discover your purpose and you feel like time is too precious to waste on things that are not pushing me towards my purpose, towards my calling, you know how to filter. You know what to give your attention to and what not to give your attention to. Mm-hmm. So, what is your purpose? Mm-hmm. You're getting up to fight my battles for me. Mm-hmm. It may feel good at some point, but how is that serving your purpose? Mm-hmm. When you don't know who you are, you don't know why you're where you are, you don't know where you're going, you have no plan, no map, no direction, no vision, of course, will not give you give you direction. Then you know what? You get tossed everything. Mm-hmm. Quincy says something negative about you, you're ready, you have no peace until you're giving Quincy your peace. When Edith says something about you, you are coming out, you're constantly attacking everybody. Mm-hmm. Mind your business. And if you don't have one, find it. Mm-hmm. Let finding the business be your business.
There you go.
Find your purpose and walk in it. Mm-hmm. Live a life of dignity. Be dignified in your ways. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Carry yourself in a way that, come on.
I love it. I love it.
Well, she said it all. Go listen to it. Go listen to it, chew on it, think about it. Put yourself in that poem. Where are you? Where are you in the poem? Mm-hmm. And the beauty of life is we can always be better. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. Every one of us needs to grow in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So let's find where we need to grow and we'll do the work that helps us to grow. Mm-hmm. You deserve to be better. So mind that business of being better. I'm done.
Oh, well, I guess that has to end it. Can't say it any better than that. We're so grateful for you all, for the engagement in the chat. You all been a blessing. You really have. Everybody's opinions, everybody's thoughts. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here with us. We're looking forward to growing with you. We're looking forward to seeing you all grow and connecting with you all. It's going to be a great month here in September. Before I go, I do want to wish my oldest that I gave birth to. You all know I have a blended family of 8, a blended and extended family of 8. But my oldest that I gave birth to is celebrating his birthday today, and he is not here with me. And I do truly miss him, so I wish him a happy birthday. Wish you all peace, love, and blessings. To all the mothers out there, protect your children. Doesn't matter how old they are. Protect your children. Speak life over your children. Pray over your children. Guard your children and their children. Okay. And that is what I have. That is what I have. So until next time, before I start getting teary-eyed, 'cause I miss my baby, we wish you peace, love, and blessings. We'll give
Happy
us a date
birthday,
next Saturday.
son. I don't mean to cut
Yes.
you, but happy
No,
birthday,
you're
son.
fine. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Yes. Until next time, peace, love, and blessings to you all.
Mm.